Friends, Romans and fellow countrymen, welcome to Prem Sports Rants. Here today we're going to talk about football and the world of wrestling. On the 28th of May, which is today, we witness one of the best news we've had in sporting terms, strictly sporting terms, because obviously it's still a lot of facts. We do not know whether it will completely go away or not, this whole annoying pandemic, but the first official fixture for the return of the Premiership has been announced to be 2 games of Aston Villa versus Sheffield United and the big game Man City hosting Arsenal. Although the Sheffield United game is huge as well because that has Champions League implications in itself. We do not know if Man City can win the appeal of going against the Champions League ban. Nevertheless, it's going to be wonderful to see 3 out of 4, maybe 4 top teams, because Aston Villa had a change of momentum and started doing well. So it's going to be a fantastic situation, fantastic moment in the purely sporting concept, because unfortunately Troy Deeney has even announced recently that he had been abused by even some sick sadistic freaks, saying that they hope his son, who's only 6 months or even younger, would suffer. And this is diabolical, and it shows that I'll be honest, we all go on social media a lot and everybody wants a return to normality. No, society has actually been breaking down with so many barriers with Brexit, and people, you're either for Brexit or you're not, or you're either a lefty or you're right, or belong to a right-wing political agenda. And no, we need to be more supportive, because you know what coronavirus showed us is that it doesn't care. Although some certain ethnicities are more susceptible, everyone was susceptible ultimately. So that's what I'm going to say about the Troy Deeney thing, and to say that whilst we're talking about sports, we are aware of, all of us are aware of the implications and medically. So I'm just going to be talking about in the sporting sense, and let's hope that the Man City Arsenal game will be a thriller. We've got 2 top teams there, and Sheffield United, will they be able to sustain the momentum they had under Wilder? Let's hope. That's going to be a fantastic game, but football can always change, because as we saw, the Super Classico. So basically, for those that are unaware of that terminology, Dortmund hosted Bayern Munich. One of the things that has made the Bundesliga so compelling was that the title race was so tight. Unfortunately for one of the teams, before that match, so there's basically been 3 rounds of games. So Leipzig have basically welled off. It's unfortunate. I think they lost the last game, I believe it was, which was actually yesterday on Wednesday the 27th. A familiar name actually scored against them. I can't remember. Actually, no, I'm completely wrong. I'm thinking about Schalke lost yesterday. My bad. Anyways, Dortmund hosted Bayern Munich, which Dortmund were perhaps the more informed team, because Bayern Munich actually conceded 2 very cheap goals against Frankfurt on the Saturday as well, and while Dortmund looked stable and were able to win from away. So it took a 1 Kimmich goal, brilliant goal, which was a lob, and it took out the whole game, because Haaland had the opportunity, which Boateng allegedly, well, not allegedly, did hit his hand, but VAR suggested not to go for it. So the reason why I'm mentioning it is that although it was not going to be perfect for the return of football, the games is going to eliminate the home and away factor. We're still going to see exciting possibilities, because I thought Dortmund may even win, even though there's rumours to suggest that Sancho was not starting, because there's the reason is that he's not committed to staying with Dortmund, and Favre, the manager, Lucien Favre, he is punishing him. But that's not entirely possible, because at the end of the day, not many clubs can afford players for the price tags that were being touted beforehand, although Man United will be the most comfortable out of every other club because of their financial clout. So we'll see what we see, but it's going to be a tough situation. Another thing I should mention quickly is quick rumours. So on the 28th of May, there's a lot of rumours that Newcastle's takeover is going to go ahead with the Saudis, monarchy. The prince is going to take over. It's bidding for the rights of the Premier League for after the 2022, which the BN Sports has until that period. So Premier League will benefit maybe, and so would Newcastle. And then the other news is that Lautaro Martinez won't go for anything less than his release clause of 99.7 million. And if Barcelona will always prioritise Neymar, who won't be that much further than that price tag, surely go for Neymar then. Surely, why not? Because Neymar is homesick, he needs to go back home, which is his, well, obviously he's Brazilian and he was played with Santos beforehand, but his footballing home is Barcelona. That's case closed on that topic. And the other one is that Igalo, although it seemed like he was about to leave leave Man United, go back to Cheshua, okay, I'm not going to pretend to say it, Cheshua, Shandong, I can't say it. Okay, so go back to his club in China. He is set to perhaps, okay, I'm going to say perhaps because it's Sky Sports suggesting the latest rumours that he may stay till January now, because obviously the season has been cancelled. So, and his contract with Man United as of this moment is going to finish this Sunday. So he may go on loan for a further period of time till January of 2021, when this diabolical year will end. Hopefully with no more crazy things, no spaceships coming up or anything. So now I'm going to, because I want to have a quick podcast today, I want to go talk about the world of wrestling. So I haven't actually spoken about quite a few topics. We've had AEW witnessing their second Double or Nothing pay-per-view. That was the first pay-per-view when they started to go for a more serious brand. It was their debut show. So Double or Nothing witnessed Mike Tyson presenting the TNT Championship. Archer had a good match with Cody Rhodes, in which Cody Rhodes was able to prevail. And on Dynamite last night, Cody Rhodes had challenged anyone for a regularly open challenge scenario. A lot of people has rightly said that open challenge has not been invented by WWE, WWF, but it just seems too coincidental that they want to follow through with Cena's successful transition of using that imagery of I am the noble champion, which was birds everywhere. I'm in my garden, don't worry. Which was heightened by the fact that Cena had a weak Seth Rollins, who was the world wrestling champion at the time. So Cena looked noble, and I think that's what Fing is going for. Cody Rhodes, although John Moxley as the champion is not going to be like a weak champion by any means, as we saw that he beat Brody Lee. Fantastic match. He brought it over to Brody. That was insane. Heck, plaudits to him. And then go straight to what the main issue what happened at AEW last night. I'm not really going to go on to NXT because I haven't watched NXT yet. I chose to watch AEW because of what we heard aftermath that Mike Tyson was going to be around. Mike Tyson repeated the January 1998 incident of what him and Aston did by having Jericho and his group going against Tyson and one of the UFC fighters that actually fought when UFC returned to judo. So it was actually, I think, a lot of people liked it, some people didn't like it. I'm going to say shambolic, simply because you can't recreate one of the most biggest epic moments of the greatest character of all time. What wrestling has suffered through a lot of times. I'm going to have to say, what wrestling, I'm going to have to try to show more emotion to help the podcast get more epic. The problem of wrestling is that you try to repeat things that you cannot you cannot emulate some of the greatest things. Like that was the problem with Abyss, and unfortunately Mankind had to say it to him. But that was the unfortunate situation with Abyss, that he was a copy of Kane and Mankind to an extent. Although there are some differences, unfortunately you cannot emulate the greatest stuff. So Vince McMahon being the ultimate bad manager and Aston being the ultimate anti-hero, people have been trying to copy that from ever since that happened, and that's never been successful. So having Mike Tyson going against Jericho was never going to be the best of solutions. And the worst thing about it is that, forget the age, Jericho can still perform at a great level, as Mike Tyson has been showing through his great training regimes that has been showing on his training videos. But you cannot, I repeat, the problem of AEW and TNA, stop trying to use just the most established stars. You got one of the biggest names in the history of sports, Mike Tyson, there. Elevate one of your young stars. Elevate them. That's what you do. AEW is trying to preach that they want to be different to WWE. You're not. If you're different, then why are you repeatedly showing the same established wrestlers from WWE? I know at the end of the day you need to sell tickets, need to build views, but if you have to try to go through that steady ship of transition period, which that's what you're not doing that into a great scale. And furthermore, which was unfortunate about the timing of Mike Tyson arriving there, was the debut of the Revival. The Revival versus Young Bucks is going to be a great tag team match. We all know this. But the problem is you just diminished the long-awaited debut of the Revival because you put someone bigger in the sporting sense. I've been speaking to some sporting fans. They are going to watch AEW because of what Mike Tyson has done. So it could be a successful thing what they've done, but you have to also calculate the longevity. I always talk about Aces and 8, that in which when Hulk Hogan was against the leader of Aces and 8s, it would turn out to be Bully Ray, formerly known as Bubba Ray, and he got married to Hulk Hogan's daughter. They're trying to reminiscence the Triple H Stephanie McMahon storyline. Difficult to do because it was alright for the first 6-7 months, but then what happened? He left. He was an established star near the end of his career. Deserved it in some sense because he's been a great servant to wrestling, but at the end of the day, you need to consider other aspects, and you need to consider the future of the business. The guys like Kenny James, I used to write for TNA, and I used to say things like this, and he was a tremendous star who could articulate a great promo, and having people like him not deny the opportunity is one of the reasons why Impact Wrestling has gone down. Now let's talk about WWE. I think the hottest thing in wrestling right now, which could be a detriment in some ways, is the Messiah. I say it's a detriment in some ways because the Fiend has to be taken out of the picture because you want to build for SummerSlam, because you don't know how long this period may last in America, because it's now reached 100,000 deaths in America. So you want to delay it to help build hype, but that's why it's a bit sad, because the Fiend has had a terrible 2020. He was able to come in as a champion, but then shockingly lost to Goldberg. And then, although he did have a resurgence of beating Cena, which was a great match, it just seems like they haven't given him the opportunity, which is unfortunate. But nevertheless, the Messiah is fantastic because Seth Rollins is helping other young stars having an opportunity. I actually insulted Austin Theory in a podcast episode a few weeks ago, saying him and Garza, they're not ready, and they certainly weren't, because they've gone down the match card. And although Garza's performance against Kevin Owens was great, and I guess that's one of the things that WWE needed, smart booking, because Garza was just being used to beat the Cesaro, which was the guy that everyone was beating up. So you're not achieving much, unfortunately. Whilst beating Kevin Owens is doing quite a lot. Even if he did a cheap shot, it helped him to a great scale. Nevertheless, the Messiah storyline, there's a lot of investment into it because it doesn't need the title. It's about a very intricate storyline of Seth Rollins trying to see himself as a guy that's going to help revive and rebuild the world of Raw, or strictly Raw. And that's a really good thing, and it helps to draw other wrestlers to get involved as well. Rey Mysterio is apparently retiring. I don't think he will retire. It's just part of the storyline to build him versus Seth Rollins for Backlash. Fantastic. And now I'm going to go and talk about, because I can go on and on because I'm on 15th minutes and not sure how many people are watching right now. So I'm going to go to the 16th. I'm going to talk about the SmackDown event of last week. Perhaps one of the best SmackDowns of the year. 2 epic matches. Who thought that AJ Styles was actually permanently signing? Because they didn't actually announce that he was part of the... They actually tricked you with smart booking by not even mentioning that AJ was part of the 4 wrestlers that would go brand and brand interchange. Because they mentioned that for Charlotte, but they did not mention that for AJ. So I thought Shinsuke was going to beat AJ and finally get another win. Fantastic by AJ. Well done. And then we saw the other match of Jeff Hardy versus Sheamus. Another great compelling match. Jeff Hardy held in there. Sheamus was aggressive, brutal. And that match has been built for a while as well, whilst Jeff Hardy was making his return. Another fantastic match, and it was a brilliant event to watch. I hope SmackDown follows through, and it's going to be interesting when they have a live attendance, because Raw debuted with that, and we saw Apollo Crews win his first WWE Championship, which was great. Congratulations. So it's going to be interesting to see SmackDown in their debut episode. Let's hope we have a fantastic SmackDown, and hope you guys stay safe. That's all I'm going to talk about today. I'm going to return to reading, and that's it. Take care.